Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? Join me this week as my special guest is author Lynette M. Smith, and Lynette is the author of a book all about gratitude. So you'll want to stay tuned and hear this interview all about expressing gratitude. Stay with me. And today, my special guest is Lynette M. Smith, who is the author of, she's the author of multiple books, specifically about one of my favorite topics, gratitude, which I think is so important today. But I'm going to let Lynette tell us about the titles of the book, the main book first. Why don't you start with that, Lynette?
The title is How to Write Heartfelt Letters to Treasure for Special Occasions and Occasions Made Special.
Right. And then I know you have a whole series, which we'll talk about, but because I want to get to each title, but I wanted to start out with, how did you get the inspiration for writing that book or that topic of gratitude?
Our son inspired me. Back in 2008, he was about to get married, and at the wedding rehearsal dinner, he and his bride-to-be each brought out a framed, heartfelt letter of appreciation to their respective parents.
Oh, wow.
And they had their best man and maid of honor stand there and read the letters aloud while they themselves stood by their own parents. And my gosh, it was just beautiful. Each letter talked about what it was like growing up in the family, what were the traits they most appreciated, let's say about my husband and then about me, and then the difference that we had made in his life, in the case of our son's letter.
Right.
And then expressed his gratitude for all of that and signed it. Wow. And not a dry eye in the house. My eyes are welling up even as I tell the story, and they do every time, because that's part of the power of something in writing, that you can take it, you can display it if you want, you can bring it out whenever you want and read it and feel just as good as it felt the first time it was read to you.
Wow, that's beautiful. So that is what started the idea then of making it into a book?
Indeed. I thought, my gosh, what a great idea they thought of, and time went on and I went, more people ought to know they can do this. Gosh, how can I help people know about this? And I went, wow. And eventually I went, I can write a book. And I was in a position to do that because I knew a little bit about self-publishing, because I was a member of an organization of self-publishers. And I thought, well, I guess rather than promoting my copy editing business in this organization, which of course I still do, but well, I can tap into all that knowledge and I can publish this book. So that's how that came about.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's very, very, very interesting. And people, I just don't think that people realize the power of words and of writing. They're very powerful things, and people do take them for granted. And as a writer, I know too, I just think words are so powerful, and expressing them in gratitude is that alone was probably a wonderful gift that you received at your son's wedding. It's definitely a gift, a beautiful gift. So I know you also have the series you were telling me, you have a series of, is it 6 other books that are themed for specific letters of gratitude? So maybe we can tell people about those, and guess whichever one you want to start with.
Well, my thought, first of all, was eventually I split up the information for each theme from the main book. Yes. So each one can be, if someone thinks, oh my gosh, half an inch book, I don't know if I can read all that, so I can write a letter. Hey, how about a 1/10 of an inch book?
There or you go. Exactly.
And so they have multiple ways they can get the information, and just focusing on the particular type of letter. Each one of these is self-contained if you want to write to your parents or another older person.
Right.
There's one that gives you the same basic theme at the beginning as the main book gives, and then it breaks out specifically to this type of letter what you might want to think about writing about. One of
Right.
the most powerful things about all of these books is demographic lists at the back that
Uh-huh.
are relevant, demographic lists of the most powerful positive words to describe someone special. So this list is 75 words for a middle-aged woman.
Uh-huh.
And so if you're thinking, oh my gosh, what can I write about? You go to that list and you go, well, gee whiz, yeah, this applies, that applies, affectionate, interested, reliable,
Exactly.
spiritual, organized. You pick the favorite words and just talk about maybe 3 of them in your
Uh-huh.
letter. But if you can't think of the words, this is a wonderful prompt to get you started. So
Exactly.
there's the one about the older friend or
A friend or
relative,
relative. Uh-huh.
cultural or religious rite of passage, such as a baptism or a bar mitzvah or a wedding. Uh,
Yes.
Military service, remember this one's very popular.
Yes.
Um, a supervisor or employee for the work environment.
That's great too.
To employees, have you ever thought of writing to your supervisor?
Ex- exactly. Yes, that's a nice thing too.
Or to the supervisor's boss with a,
Yes.
and then get it put in the personnel file. What a wonderful thing to put in there.
Exactly. Yes.
To a teacher, coach, mentor, or student. Lots of people think, oh, that teacher was so special to me, or my mentor.
Yes.
How can I thank my mentor?
Yes.
To a product creator or service provider.
There you
So
go.
we've
That's
got
good.
all themes, and
Yes.
I like to say that you want to write one of these letters when the magnitude of your gratitude is bigger than a thank you note.
Yes.
I mean, a thank you note is a wonderful gesture and it's appropriate in so many circumstances. But
Hmm.
when someone has made that extra effort and has made a difference in your life, this is a wonderful way to express it.
Yes. And that probably at that moment you have that inspiration, to write it. And people overlook those things. And I think they don't realize I mentioned how powerful words are, but they probably, most people think, oh, it's not a big deal, write a letter. Oh, it's not a big deal. But if somebody receives that letter, it will probably be a very special thing for them, just as that letter was to you. And people don't realize how special that is. It's really, a special gift. So, and like you said, you can frame it so it's even a nice gift. People are always thinking, oh, I have to go to the store and get, a material gift. But a letter of gratitude is something that really comes from your heart. And who knows, you can write it and frame it and give it as a gift, right? I think that's something, is a really nice gift, because it does take some time, if you're going to write a nice one, to sit down, think about it, and you're giving this as a gift to someone. So I do think that's really something very, very special.
Well, it's a gift from your own heart to their
Yes,
heart.
exactly.
And it lasts. Some of this letter,
Uh-huh.
when the day comes that I'm no longer on this earth,
Uh-huh.
that's going to go back to my son to give
Yes.
to my granddaughters.
Yes.
And it's going to be a part of family legacy because this is going to be their reminder of what I was like.
Exactly.
So it will live beyond me. And it doesn't always have to be in a frame. I want to emphasize this.
Oh,
Some letters are appropriate for frames. Some are
exactly.
very private. Some can be
Yes.
put in a certificate binder, but
Yes.
still presented in a very special way.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because we should look at, you talked about the power of words. Let's start at the beginning of what things are these days. Texting, right?
Yes.
You can say thank you in a very special way in a text, and they're going, oh, that's sweet. And then it scrolls down and down and down, or up and up and up in the conversation, and you can't find it again. Or
Exactly.
put it in an email, and they get the email and go, oh, that's wonderful. And then it gets buried with time, or your computer crashes.
Exactly.
So that's not the perfect solution either. And of course, verbally is wonderful as far as it goes, but in a year it's forgotten, except just the general sentiment. So these things are not lasting. If you put it in writing, it lasts.
Exactly, exactly. Yes. And also, if you actually write it out, I think it's even more, but you can do just like you said, have it printed out, I guess, as well, and make it something lasting. And I only mention the idea of you're absolutely right. Sometimes they're personal, so you don't want to always put it in a frame. But I just mentioned what I was thinking of where it's appropriate, instead of getting a material gift and going crazy, oh, I have to go to this store and get a tie or a blouse or something. That is just a special, exactly, which somebody could just go to the store and get that themselves. But getting, like you said, something from your heart to their heart, you can't buy that.
That's right.
So do it, you're absolutely right, as something personal, or maybe do something, special with it as well. So that's great. So do you have, before we go, is there a letter, like a short letter, an example you can give us, something you'd like to read? Or
Interesting. Yes. Give me 2 seconds.
yes.
That was about 2 seconds, right?
Yes. Yes.
Let's
We
pop
did. I
over.
timed you. You're okay.
And here's one that I wrote to my mentor back in 2010.
There you go. Uh-huh.
It was to acknowledge us. Dear Ellie, congratulations on your spectacular achievement shepherding Placentia Roundtable Women's Club, the first century, from concept to completion, and yesterday's book launch. I so admire you for taking on a project of this scope, but then I shouldn't be surprised, for you've always applied your professional and volunteer dedication and single-minded perseverance to bring your chosen projects to successful fruition. It has been an honor and a privilege to work so closely with you in producing this wonderful women's history book. After all, it was your influence as my mentor and friend dating back to the early 1980s that caused me to become involved in public speaking, event planning, and writing for publication. I can't even conceive of what my life would be like today without those activities or you in my life. My gratitude and affection know no bounds. Your friend, Lynette.
That's wonderful. And I'm sure that person probably will always remember you because of that beautiful letter that you wrote to them as well. So it
There,
is it is definitely like
it does it. That might be
history.
even the writer wells up when they write the
Yes,
letter.
I can imagine. That was beautiful, really beautiful letter. So Lynette, tell us, where can people find you? Do you have a website?
I absolutely do. It's called, funny thing,
Okay.
goodwaystowrite.com.
Okay. Goodwaystowrite.com. Yes. And then where can people find the main book, and actually all your books? I'm sure they can find that on your website.
Yes, they can find them at every major online retailer. The
Right.
most natural one people tend to go to is Amazon. Now,
Uh-huh.
I would say Amazon is the only one that has these guides, the small guides, but every
Okay.
major retailer has this comprehensive reference book,
Right, right.
heartfelt letters to treasure for
Yeah.
special occasions and occasions made special.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's beautiful. So people can find those. They can either find your website, goodwaystowrite.com, or go to Amazon or some
Sure.
online retailers and look for that book. That's wonderful. Lynette, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm hopefully my listeners, some of them will go out there and get ready. Valentine's Day is coming up. That's always a nice time
There
to
is
write a
that.
letter of gratitude to someone special in your life.
And
So
there's a
that's
section
great.
in that book about Valentine's Day. Funny thing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what the special occasions, but then when things come up, like the letter I just read, that's an occasion made special. So there are
It's
formal occasions that exist all throughout here, but there are
exactly.
circumstances, like just at random briefly, when a service member dies in the line of duty,
Uh-huh.
kind of a letter can you write to the family? So it's
Exactly.
not only good news, but sad news sometimes.
Sad.
And
Yes. Yes.
there's even a final chapter in here called How to Mend a Torn Relationship.
There you go. Oh, well, that's a nice,
Really nice.
yes, yes.
It kind
I
of
know
lets us
sometimes people can't find the words. They want to do it, but they're hesitant. So that's hopefully something that can help people maybe achieve that, which is great. Well, that's
Right.
wonderful, Lynette. Thank you so much, and much success to you with the books. And hopefully, maybe you'll come up with something else in the future, and we'll see you again.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me on your show.
Thank you. And I'll have your website on my website, the marialiberatishow.com. So if people didn't get it, we'll write it on there. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, and this week's special guest, author Lynette M. Smith. And just a reminder that I will be doing a 4-course wine pairing dinner at the Ridgewood Winery in Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania on January 29th. And also a Valentine's Day themed 4-course wine pairing dinner on February 10th at the Ridgewood Winery in Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania. And you can register for both events. Registration is limited, but you can register on eventbrite.com. If you have any questions about the events, you can also email me at info, that is info@marialiberati.com. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, my YouTube channel, The Maria Liberati Show, my Vimeo channel, The Maria Liberati Channel, my Roku channel, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati. And you can find my Gourmand World award-winning book series anywhere books are sold online, but you can also find them at artoflivingprimamedia.com and marialiberati.com, and of course on Amazon and Kindle. And until next time, peace, love, and pasta.